I've been out in a local park testing various props to see if I can get a tiny wobble out of the drone that's affecting the nose cam. And I noticed something odd about the GPS unit. If you look at the altitude there, it's still sitting at 0.7. I think it's about 0.9, which is obviously incorrect. All the other GPS data looks about right. On this particular run, I'd found some of the motors are just a fractionally loose, so I'd tighten them up. And I'd seen a small difference in performance, but I was still getting a little bit of a shimmer at the top of the picture. After this flight, I had a good look at the props and realised they're a slightly different profile from the ones I'd got on the other my other drone. Seems to fly completely smoothly, so I changed them over for the next flight. But as I say, I suddenly realised I had a big problem with no altitude reading, which you kind of get used to after a while. So to cut it short, here's the landing. So coming in for a landing, this gives you a chance to see the stats. And as you'll see in a moment, I'm certainly not getting altitude. All the other stats seem to be about right. So if you look at them here, so that had me wondering what to look at. So when I got home, I looked at the way it was mounted and thought, well, there's a hole underneath it that maybe that's obstructed. It needs clear air to get a decent reading. So I changed that a bit and weigh again. This time it was even worse. As you see on display, I've got nothing from the GPS at all. I've got altitude staying at 0, but I'm not getting number of sats or anything like that. So I thought, since I'm out here, I'll have a little flight anyway, just to see what the image stability is like with these different props. The orange props, the same type as the green ones I fly on the other one. And I thought, yes, I can see an improvement in stability of the drone. So that's one good thing. But quite clearly, I need to have a good look at the GPS when I go home and figure out what's going on. Maybe it's time to toss it. But it just seemed very odd. But again, I was quite curious to see what, if anything, I'd assume I wouldn't get any stats at the end of this flight. But as I say, in terms of reasonably smooth flight, I was happy with a visible improvement. Oh, the other thing, look at that GPS rescue thing flashing at the bottom of the screen. That was really weird. Went throughout the flight. You can still see it there. No GPS, no rescue. So came down, and to my great surprise, I've got lots of stats there. No altitude, but everything else. So very hard to understand what's going on. Is it just got some kind of intermittent fault or what? So once again, off home, and this time I think I found it. Okay, so I found the source of the problem. So that cable there, that's the GPS. If I follow it all the way in, I get to this wire here. And as you see, it's come off. So that's very interesting. So the lights were lighting up all right, and I was getting stats, but I was getting less and less information as I was flying. So that was just lying on top of that. So a quick resolder and I should be back in business. So it's quite strange how wires coming off affect things. So back out to the field, and you wouldn't believe it, yet another problem. Here I am in angle mode, and I've got a CALIB error. I had that before down the coast, before I cleaned everything up. If I thought about it, if I put it in acro, that might have gone away, because you don't need a gyroscope to fly acro. But what I did, I unplugged the main battery and plugged it in again on the drone, because that's what kind of cleared it last time. And I get the Betaflight initial screen, which includes the version, which I don't normally notice. And here we are, ready to try again. Given that I didn't think to flick it to acro mode, it didn't particularly matter, because all I cared about is seeing if I've solved the problem with the GPS. So armed it, great, I've got a home point, I've got all the stats, I've got a little arrow showing me where I am, which direction I am from the home point. So that is looking good. Incidentally, I realised that the altitude it gives before I armed it, which was about 80 something or 70 something, that's actually meters above sea level. So it's not just a leftover number. It goes from that to zero, or as close to zero as it can go, to recalibrate. But those trees in the park are pretty tall, so I think the altitude, the height there is probably about right. So it's a lovely little park. It's a good place to zip around with smaller drones, which I've done in the past quite a bit. But in this case it was just the closest to home. I wanted to get up and out again to see if I'd cracked the problem. A little bit disappointed because I'd cleaned off all the pads and redone all the wiring. So this is one I must have done unfortunately a slightly slack job on. So the dog walker's around, so I wanted to get up and down to prove I've solved the problem and leave them to their wanderings. So very short flight, but very satisfied with the outcome. Again, the only good thing going for angle mode, of course, is you've got much more precise control, so landings are generally easier. But of course, you trade that for lack of control in the air. So that was about it. So all in all, strange sort of day, but at least I got a result in the end. So if you've got what looks like a faulty GPS, have a good look at everything, including your wiring. Bye for now.